Hey, it's me, Scott. See a nice big bruise on my cheek there? They said go ahead and do a LS swap in your driveway. Anybody can do it, they said. You can do it. So I've got mostly slideshows here to show you that I've done this LS swap about 5 years ago. And here I am in my gravel driveway. I watched all kind of YouTube videos and researched it for about 6 months before I did the swap, so I could figure out what all I needed to do to get the motor out of the original truck that was a 2003 Chevy Suburban. I bought it for like $1,000. I put down at the end of the video some of my expenses. When I got started on this, I didn't have a bench to work with, so I cleaned out an area on my carport. I built me a bench. Not real big, but big enough I can put some stuff on it and get some stuff cleaned up. So as we go through this here, I'll just kind of talk about what I've got going on. I really thought it was going to be easier than what it was. This was the first time I've done an LS swap. Some of this stuff, once I got the motor pulled out of it, I just wanted to go through and clean it up and see what all was needed, what I needed to replace on it. The guy that I bought it from said the truck had 200,000 miles on it. By the time I got the motor and all that pulled out, it looked closer to 300,000 miles. It looked pretty worn. So I decided I'd get everything out. I'd check all of the parts and pieces. This is the manifold here, obviously. I cleaned it up just to make it look real good, and then I'll show you some other stuff that I've done here in a little bit. So there's my garage that I worked in. So yes, you can do this in your driveway. I'm fortunate to have a longer driveway next to the house there. That's my daughter. I got her involved in it. She wanted to come out and help. We got nighttime, so you got to have lights. So we put up a light. When I pulled the cylinder heads off, you can see the hash marks are still looking real good in there. The throttle body had a lot left to be desired. So I got some throttle body cleaner and I put it in a dip. You should be seeing that here. There you go. So I got it in a dip. I left it in the dip overnight, and then I just cleaned her up, put new gaskets on it, put it back on, got it ready to go. This is not a sponsored video, but this is just some of the stuff that I used. That would be one of the sensors on the side of the throttle body there, the idle sensor. So I started back on the motor, decided I was going to paint everything. So I took my time just to kind of clean everything up, tape everything off, paint it Chevy orange. And so I started working on all of that. Once I got all of that done, then I started doing some reassembly work just to kind of preliminary put it back together in sections. So I got both of the valve covers there done. I thought they looked pretty sharp. I don't have a picture of me painting that one. I did, but I have no idea where it's at. But I cleaned off every nut and bolt and replaced what I had to. So I tore into it. This is what the rockers and everything looked like before I sent the heads off to be redone. So I cleaned everything, cleaned all the rockers, cleaned the rocker guides, just everything I could do to just clean her up, get her in good shape. This is what the heads look like when I took them off. I sent them off to McLean's out in Cuba, Missouri to be reworked. So they reworked them for me. They told me that some of the valves were bent, so they reground them to make them all straight. I pulled the cylinder heads off, or the manifolds off, and I used a flat sander on those to make sure they were straight. Seeing the motor there, this is the pulley that come off of it. Pulled the dipstick tube out, painted that, make it look pretty, right? So I got the block cleaned up and the oil pan cleaned up, put back on, checked the gaps. That there was it was stripped, so I had to get a tap for that, and it'll come up here in a minute, but I had to get a tap put on that because it was stripped out. My daughter, again, helped me put the head gaskets on because we're getting ready to slap the heads on there. So there's the gaskets on. My daughter come out. It was out probably 10 o'clock at night. She says, "Dad, what are you doing?" I said, "Well, putting the cylinder heads on. You want to help?" Well, of course she wants to help. So you got to have her help. So she gets to have a little bit of fun doing that. So next day we had the cylinder heads on, getting her all put back together. I got the crank pulley put back on. There was a tool for that. Here we go. My LS swap packages arrived. I had ordered the die or the tap to rethread that. Ordered a new crank pulley bolt because it was jacked up. This is a flex plate spacer that you need to go from the LS motor to the 4L80 or 4L60E transmission. At this point, I had the heads and everything back on, valve covers, all the electric on them, all the new spark plugs put in, header or manifolds bolted on, that kind of thing. The valley pan there, it's not attached because I have to put the piece on to put it in. So here we can see the bracket that I use to mount the the alternator. On the left side, that was a custom bracket. On the right side, those black bars is a custom bracket that I bought to mount the air conditioning, because on the LS motor, it's passenger side bottom, not driver side top. I was test fitting the manifold on there, making sure where all the wires are going to go, where everything's going to hook up. I cleaned all the injectors. I just cleaned everything up real good before I got it ready. That was a victorious night there, admiring what I'd done. Now, the other one you seen, I ripped the front of it apart. So in order to put this in my red Suburban, I needed to come up with a plan. So I don't want to take off the front clip. And a lot of people do that. I didn't want to do it. I just wanted to drop it in the front. So I decided to make a gantry. You see my drawing there. I just went to a local hardware store, got all the bolts, nuts, parts, pieces, things that I could think of to put this thing together, and just kind of had a basic plan. There I used the truck to haul the wood back. This is where I did the wood glue laminating. I took 3 2x6s and put them together with wood glue, and then I also used 3-inch screws, wood screws, about every 10 inches apart to hold it together. I left the notch out on the top so I could put the beam across. I'm not really sure how much weight this thing holds, because I really can't find any information about the flexural capacity of a 2x6. Some places say it's 54 pounds per foot, so if it's 10 foot long, one beam could hold 540 pounds. So I guess 3 across, triple laminated, whatever, maybe that holds 1,500 pounds. I don't know. If you guys are engineers, you could tell me. So I made the beam here in just another picture. You'll see that. There's the beam. It's triple laminated. I did move the beam in 8 inches so that it wouldn't be on the ends. LS project gantry for pulling the engine is on a rain delay. I know we need the rain, but really right now, gotta love the rain. But the garage is holding up. There's how I put the feet on. I used a L bracket. I used side brackets. I used everything I could find to fasten them to the bottom of the uprights. And then I created an A-frame on the sides. Those feet are 5 feet long. The only thing is, I wish I would have made them about 7 feet long so that it wouldn't have been tippy. It was a little tippy, so if you're looking at doing something like this, don't follow my plans. It was a little tippy. It did what I needed it to do, but I wouldn't do anything that narrow. On the top here, I'm not a math genius. That's 3 feet from each side to be a cross-sectional support. Again, I'm not a math genius. I have no idea what that does for anything, but I hope that it would help it hold it up. I'm only going to pull a motor out, so, and well, it worked. So that was a nice thing about it. I pulled the gantry upright with the Suburban. I'm just getting some pictures of it from the sides so see what it looks like, see how tall it is. To the top of the beam is 10 feet, and the width across the inside is probably 9 feet. So it's just about big enough for the Suburban to go through and the mirrors touch. That's my little boy. He was very excited when I bought this truck a few years ago. So this was a year or two before I did the swap. And he was helping me to look at all the stuff going on. He was excited. He was touching stuff and pulling stuff and wanting to know where I was at and what I was doing with the truck. So he was out there having a good time. I hope you guys share your off-road stuff and car stuff with your kids because they sure love it. That black grill that I got there, I bought that off a guy up in St. Louis for $100. And the reason I bought it is because I was prone to hit deer. So when you're cruising down the highway at 50 or 60 and you hit a deer, it tears up the front of your vehicle. So I bought that brush guard and never did hit another one after that, so knock on wood. But my little guy there, he was having a good time. All right, this is where we started. I pulled the truck up over, getting ready to pull the motor out. Of course, my little buddy wants to be with there to help. He's all excited. Daddy, I want to help. So I hand him a wrench and let him feel like he's doing something. I'm underneath there. I don't even remember what I was trying to get undone. Probably water lines and stuff like that. Get ready to drain the radiator. The basic stuff you got to do before you pull the motor out. Get all the fluids out of it. Get it ready to go. There, he said he wanted to do it by himself, but, he's trying really hard. So this is what it looked like before I got started. Pulling everything out and getting ready to pull it all apart. My garage needed a lean-to because it was like 107 degrees. So this is where I'm starting to tear off the front. You can see I got the air conditioner off of it. Again, with the heat, that summer was pretty hot. This was 2017. So this is taking everything apart. I took the air conditioner off of it. This is my oldest boy. He was helping me set up the chain, set up the hoist. There I've got the motor pulled out of it. Again, my daughter's with me. My son's on the other side there. We got the motor pulled out. So now we're going to hang it there. And in the meantime, I had a friend of mine come over with his truck. We backed it underneath there to set it in his truck so we could move it. Those plates there, that was the motor mount adjustment plates that helped move it back an inch. This was my buddy Dan. I was having an electrical issue. He came up to help me with it. And there she is. She's running. So after this, I basically just buttoned it all up and we were done. So that's that. So that is all the visual that I have for this project. Yes, it was possible to do an engine swap in your gravel driveway. I don't recommend it. My donor Suburban was $1,000. I sold $800 of parts off of it. So the motor only cost me $200. I had the heads redone for $300, miscellaneous parts for $400. Plywood to work on was $50, workbench was $150, the gantry was $300. This was 5 years ago. The So that's it. That's all we got. Thanks for watching.